Hello everyone, hopefully an OK Editor 357 here, and for today's video, I will be doing something similar to my Steins Gate video, where I quickly compare the various mediums to experience the story of Higurashi when they cry in. The main three being the original visual novels, anime, and manga. The first one I'll talk about is the original visual novels. Similar to Steins Gate, I find the visual novels to be the best way to experience the story of Higurashi for a number of reasons. Number one being the atmosphere. The amazing sound design really draws you into the rural but mysterious village of Hinamizawa in a way the anime and manga can't quite compare. The constant cries of the cicadas, the simple but effective soundtrack to get you engrossed in the various scenes you're reading, and the awkward but endearing art, depending on the version of the visual novels you play, really just makes you feel like you're part of Hinamizawa, whether you want to be or not when the bad stuff starts going down. Another advantage the visual novels have is story content, of which it has the most. While some may say the lighthearted slice-of-life sections of Higurashi are a slog to get through, I see them as essential into building up the characters and getting you into a happy and peaceful state of mind. So that way, when it's time for the deathy death stabby stab to start, you feel like your whole world has been shattered. The anime cuts a lot of this out to get straight to the scary and intense stuff as soon as possible, and I wish it could have had a bit more time to flesh that part of the story out. Also, Higurashi, as well as Umineko when they cry, have some of the best monologues I have ever read, and unfortunately, a lot of those are lost in the two other adaptations, more so the anime. Now to the downsides of the visual novel. While I believe the Manga Gamer re-releases, which have up to Chapter 8, the final chapter of the main story, are the best way to experience Higurashi for the first time, some people may be put off by the art. While I think the redone character sprites are fantastic, the backgrounds are simply real-life stock photos with a filter over them. I personally think this adds to Higurashi's charm and atmosphere, but I can see how that would be a problem to some. Thankfully, there is a wonderful patch that adds the PS3 release of Higurashi's graphics, voice acting, and music to give you the most high-quality experience of the visual novels. While the drawn backgrounds are nice, I actually like the Manga Gamer re-release character sprites more. And I think it's more fun to go through the dialogue in your head, imagining what everyone sounds like the first time around. Counterpoint to that though, the voice acting is fantastic. Every single voice actor and actress gives an amazing performance, especially Yukari Tamura as Rika, who is honestly one of, if not my favorite voice actresses. I get this weird vibe that the voice acting, while amazing, can break the calming but eerie atmosphere of Hinamizawa at times, but I say go for whichever sounds more appealing to you. I prefer no voice acting for the first time, but the voice acting is top tier and will definitely add to the more emotional and intense scenes if you do decide to go that way. You can also find the original English releases of the Higurashi visual novels online, with the original art and translation. While I think the translation is fine, I'm pretty sure it's universally agreed that art isn't necessarily Ryukishi 07's strong point. He is consistent though, and I like the facial expressions of his characters. So to recap, I think the visual novels are the best way to go about experiencing the story of Higurashi, and each iteration or version of the visual novels have their own strengths, quirks, and weaknesses. Onto the anime. The anime is a great, but rushed and flawed adaptation. First, I'll go with the pros. The animation is mocked a lot, but I think, similar to how Ryukishi 07's art have their own charm to them, it has its own unique style. And I do genuinely believe that style fits the more happy and light-hearted moments of the series. It gives everything this happy-go-lucky and goofy vibe which does wonders for the beginning of Higurashi's story. If only they didn't speed through so much of those parts. And when the scary and intense stuff uses the same, almost simplistic animation, it creates an interesting contrast as you're seeing these cutesy-looking characters put through hell. I'm not going to defend it completely. There are scenes and moments where the animation is just laughably bad no matter how you cut it. But I think it has its strengths, and it's certainly not Studio Dean's worst. Also, the animation in Seasons 2 and the third shorter season are noticeably better, and while still dated, legit good for the time. And I think the scenes they do adapt and don't rush are done really well, some of the most disturbed I've ever gotten watching anything. The voice acting, same for the visual novels, is absolutely fantastic. And oh boy did they screw the English dub to Season 1 up bad. The soundtrack is great, especially the opening and ending songs. They're all memorable, but Naruku no Hana, or the Flower of Hell I believe it translates to in English, really is one of my favorite anime openings. Such a beautiful and creepy song. The first opening is mostly just straight up creepy creeps, while still sounding really pretty, but the second opening really gets to the heart of Higurashi's emotional story. Onto the cons now. Like I said before, they rush through a lot of the earlier build-up, but also skip or condense a lot of the story, unfortunately. They did this so much that when Season 2 came out, they were requested by Higurashi Ch1 to make a new original story arc, including a lot of the hints to the mystery and foreshadowing they couldn't beforehand. It definitely makes learning more about the mystery and eventually getting the answers a little less exciting. But I think it's still fine enough to keep you engaged. You're more invested in the characters and what's happening to them at this point, and learning everything is just kind of a means to help the characters try to survive whatever's coming for them. So if the visual novels seem like too long a time commitment, the anime is still a successful, albeit too fast-paced adaptation in my eyes. Oh yeah, and as a side note, don't watch the new Higurashi anime if you want to give the anime a shot. It's not a remake. At least not completely. It's weird, but you should definitely check out the original story first. All that being said, onto the last adaptation for the video, the manga. The manga, in my opinion, is a superior adaptation to the anime and the second best after the visual novels. First off, the art. The art for the manga series is amazing. They have different artists for different story arcs, and each of them bring their own unique style to the table while somehow keeping a consistent feeling to them throughout the entire run. The violent scenes are much more graphic in the manga, and the talented artists really know how to freak you out by changing the style from cutesy or normal to terrifying close-ups and facial expressions. The story has more time to breathe compared to the anime, though not as much as the visual novels. The earlier lighthearted parts of the story are given more time, and we even get to see some of the fantastic inner monologuing of the characters that a lot of the anime cut out. Not all the greatest monologues from the visual novel make it to the manga, but the ones that do convey the scenes that are in wonderfully. And the lettering in the manga is really good too. As the volumes go on, the later story arcs are given thicker volumes, giving the final 2 story arcs the time they need to reveal everything and go through the finale. This is probably the adaptation I'm spending the least amount of time on. It's kind of right down the middle. While still not as long as the visual novels, it brings back a lot of what the anime missed out on, and with fantastic and always changing art. Unfortunately, physical copies of the manga are hard to come by. The same goes for Umineko When They Cry too, as it seems to be sold out or out of print most places. At least it'll be hard to get some of the volumes for reasonable prices. I really lucked out in that regard. However, I believe they're all available digitally, so you can read the manga that way. If the visual novels sound too long and you want to give Higurashi a shot, I'd recommend going for the manga. And I even recommend the manga to people who have already read the visual novel because you get to see so many of your favorite scenes reenacted in beautiful artwork. Only thing the anime has got on the manga is the soundtrack, but you could just Google the Higurashi anime soundtrack if you want to get those good spooky music vibes. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. While I think certain adaptations are better than others for numerous reasons, I genuinely don't think there's any wrong way to experience Higurashi in this case. They're all great, some more than others, but each have their own unique strengths and weaknesses to them. And you could always read or watch them all, like I did. I think the anime is worth a watch even if you've read the visual novels and the manga, but that's just me. That's it for today's video though. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, as well as how you first experienced Higurashi. The visual novels, anime, or manga. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and see you guys in the next video. And seeing as how this is NonStopNovember, that'll be tomorrow.